Okay, good morning, everyone. Now today, we'll talk about breaking history. This is my hope that this lecture will provide a comprehensive overview of our current understanding of the breaking history and catch the most discussion currently within the discipline. This lecture is going to be cover Asia China from 2000 BC and 100 to 100 BC. It was called breaking history period. In China, when we talk about before 2000 BC, it always belonged to the field of archaeological research, not the research scope of our breaking history. In other words, it is related to the study of the origin of Chinese civilization before 2000 BC. So let's start by looking at the dynastic period of the Asia China. I've given you a pie chart here to see how much time each of them took up in this 2000 years period. So start with the Shang dynasty. This rough dates 2000 BC, roughly to 600 BC. May have been earlier, but let's just say 400 years. The Shang is more of the legendary dynasty. There's actually not physical evidence. There's no archaeological or historical evidence in writing from the period. So far, we are still not completely sure of the real existence of the Shang dynasty. We must determine for a point before we can affirm the existence of an Asian dynasty. Their characters, bronze vessel, cave cities, and last one is tombs. The Shang dynasty possessed the above for main point. Therefore, we can only study Chinese history from the Shang dynasty. However, we can't completely deny the existence of the Shang dynasty. According to the record of Asia Chinese historical material, Yu founded the Shang dynasty. The Shang dynasty has a history of nearly 400 years. Just so far, we have not yet received archaeological evidence. The most important thing is that the writing of the Shang dynasty have not yet been discovered, or that a large number of the relics of the writing of the Shang dynasty have not been discovered. Then, we have the Shang dynasty, which started around 1600 BC and last until 1050 BC. So a total of 550 years. So that's a pretty big chunk, 25% of the time period, and then followed by the Zhou dynasty, starting in 1050 BC, going to around 250 BC. That's a total of 800 years. That's the longest dynasty in the history of old China. So 36% of this time period is taken up by the Zhou dynasty. Then we have the very short-lived Qin dynasty, which was founded in the 221 BC and then lasted until 206 BC. So only 50 years, which is 1% of this time period. Although it has only existed for a short time, but it had enormous influence on Chinese history. As you know, some dynasties last only a decade or two and changing later. We will scarcely mention others, though a short-lived changed the whole course of Chinese history. Such a dynasty was the Qin, 221 BC to 206 BC. Because the China political system and government system an army system, and a territory, and writing, and so on. Everyone made of Qin. Maybe you can say everything made in China in the world, up to now. But in China, we know almost everything made in Qin. So we have to say that Qin is the most important dynasty in the Asia China. Then finally the Han dynasty, which took over after the Qin fell in 202 BC and last until 220 AD. So a total of 442 years. There was a little interregnum period in the middle. But let's say a total of 442 years. So 20% of this time period taken up by the Han. So starting with the Xia dynasty, as I said, this is more than mystical dynasty as far as we know. So this is more of a legendary period, and it is a period when this sage king, so starting with Yao, who then gave the throne to Shun, even though they were not related. Asia China scholars have been obsessed by their countries past almost seeing it had one. Like other society, the Asia Chinese subscribed to the idea that the land had once hosted a primordial perfection, a prehistoric Edens, and some ways Yao and Shun, so they were considered virtuous and benevolent ruler by later scholars. For example, as you know, Yu was known for taming the flood. He organized the building of dams that helped control flooding. So each of them, Asia Sage King, is known for making special contribution to the rise of civilization in Asia China. Next, we have the Shang dynasty, which began around 1600 BC, and here we start to see physical map of the dynasty, because we know that the dynasty occupied this area in the middle of the Yellow River village in northern China. That its power was centered in the city of Anyang city. Its power extended almost down to the Yangtze River in the south. The Shang dynasty was the first dynasty period. In ancient times, first of all, we began with the transition from the Bronze Age to Iron Age, which happened to over this time period. As we know, the Shang king has a lot of bronze vessels in this time. So the bronze vessel becomes key artifact for understanding this period in Asia Chinese civilization. They were used for ritual ceremony and sacrifice by the king of Zhou and Shang. This bronze vessel of the Tou village in the earliest bronze vessel found in China by now. It belonged to the Tou dynastic period. It was unearthed by the archaeological terms in 1959. The land was related in Tou village, Yanshi cities, Henan province in China. Some Chinese archaeological even mildly argue that this is a bronze vessel from the late Xia dynasty. Of course, the purpose is only to provide the real existence of Xia dynasty, because the Chinese have been taking a great interest in their history, and for longer than any other civilization. As we know, the Xia end, and then the Shang start. This is a normal historical process. But other scholars told us that the Xia and Shang existed together. In fact, they want to say little Xia is early Shang, And then the early Shang's bronze vessel becomes Xia's bronze vessel immediately. So I'm sure you understand what their goal is. We also have earth bones which were actually found in the early 20th century, and they were discovered to be archive of the Shang dynasty history. But their original intention was to communicate with the ancestors of the king and queens. They were used by maybe shamans or priests to ask a question that they would then find answer to by cracking their bones. They write the question and answer on the earth bone. Over time, about 80,000 pieces of this bone have been appeared. Therefore, they constitute a variable archive of the history and social culture of the Shang dynasty. For example, you can see this picture of bone by early Shang dynasty. This is the earliest family tree book in early China, and it is inscribable on earth bone inscription. The time was in the early Shang dynasty. Now you can see this picture. From right to left, identify the text by the Chinese on the photo as follows. 真，倪先祖曰崔，崔子曰卫，卫子曰晏，晏子曰韦，韦子曰夷，夷弟曰启，启子曰鄂，鄂子曰来，来子曰弘，弘子曰玉，玉弟曰修，修子曰射，射子曰商。And first, I read it in Chinese, and then we translate the full text as follows. From the right, column 1, 真, it means divination. Start on the right, column 2, 倪先祖曰崔. Ni's father's name is Cui. It means blow. Start on the right, column 3, 崔子曰卫. Cui's son's name is Wei. It means scarlet. Start on the right, column 4, 卫子曰晏. Wei's son's name is Yan. It means swallow. Start on the right, column 5, 晏子曰韦. Yan's son's name is Wei. It means curtain. Start on the right, column 6, 韦子曰一. Wei's son's name is Yi. It means unified. Start on the right, column 7, 一弟曰启. His brother's name is Qi. It means open. Start on the right, column 8, 其子曰鄂. Qi's son's name is E. It means nightmare. Start on the right, column 9, 鄂子曰来. E's son's name is Lai. It means comfort. Start on the right, column 10, 来子曰弘. Lai's son's name is Hong. It means flood. Start on the right, column 11, 弘子曰修. Hong's son's name is Xiu. It means Yu. It means harness. Start on the right, column 12. Xiu's brother's name, Yu's brother's name is Xiu. It means slender. Start on the right, column 13. 修子曰射. Xiu's son's name is She. It means urchin. Start on the right, column 14. 射子曰商. She's son's name is Shang. It means merchants. We know that the Shang people worship this god. You can quote his law or spring bean, which they called D. So that term comes up later in Chinese history as well. In the early 20th century, in the 1920s and 30s, a team of the archaeologists in Chinese led the excavation of Shang royal tombs in the capital of Anyang. They were able to find several of the tombs as you see in the image. They have a cross like shape because they were found ramps from the two cardinal direction which led down into the tomb's chamber. Most of those tombs had already been looted, as you know, maybe ages ago, planted by robbers. But they did find one tomb completely intact. So this was a major find of the past century. This was the tomb of the Li Fuhao, who was the consort to one of the Shang kings named Wu Ding. She was apparently a military leader in her own right. They found a weapon in her tomb chamber. She died at the age of 13, which she died before the Shang king Wu Ding died. And obviously, she lavished a great deal of the care on her. As you can see from the thousands of artifacts that they found in these royal tombs, thousands of precious items, such as the one that you see here, were found in this royal tomb. So this is another very rich source of Shang dynasty culture and identity. The Zhou dynasty organized in his origin in Western China along the river, which is a tributary running into the Yellow River or the Huanghe, which is China Major in the north, and the Yellow River snack up to the north, and then had kind of the straight down, and then out northeastward into the ocean, and the wave drawn the Yellow River near where the city of Xi'an is today. That was the Asia territory of the people who founded the Zhou dynasty. The Zhou dynasty founding is associated with three men. The first man is King Wen, and it was so called Zhou Wenwang in Chinese, who established the stability of this dynasty and began to lead this conquest of the Shang dynasty, which had lost its merit. So, the Zhou dynasty was growing in power and was mounting a challenge to the Shang dynasty, and his son is King Wu. As you know, it was so called Zhou Wang in Chinese. Wenwang means the culture king, and Wu Wang means the martial king. In fact, the martial king actually led the attack against the Shang dynasty and defeated them, thereby established a new dynasty led by this man. The bronze vessel that we are showing you now, the name of this bronze vessel is Gui. Gui for the container made for Li. Its inscription is engraved at the bottom of the inside. The container records the history of King Wu's victory over the Shang dynasty. It was excavated in Linkou Town, Lintong County, Shanxi Province in March 1976. Gui, a utensil used to contain food in ancient times, also served as an important ritual vessel when it was used together with Ding. Ding, it means an used three-legged ancient Chinese cooking vessel. Li Gui is the earliest bronze vessel of Western Zhou dynasty, about 1100 BC to 731 BC, 71 BC, found in China so far. It provides a real historical record for us to study the history of the Shang and Zhou dynasty. And first, I read in Chinese, and then the full text of this inscription is as follows. 武征商为甲子昭，岁鼎克婚素有伤。辛未，王在简师，赐有事历金，用作胆弓，保尊仪。You can see this image and this one, and his inscription. I translation it in English. King Wu attacked Shang. It was the morning of the Jiazi day. Jupiter was in the correct position. Little the king know he would conquer, and soon he conquered the Shang. On the Xinwei's day, the king was at Jian. In compliment, he granted his 有事 Li medal, with which he makes this treasure ritual whistle for his esteemed ancestor Dan Duke. The so-called Jiazi Day and Xinwei Day here are special calendar in Asia China. For example, our current calendar is every 7 days as a cycle, from Monday to Sunday. In Asia China, every 60 days was a cycle, from Jiazi Day to Guihai Day. The last one is King Wu's brother, the Duke of Zhou. It was so called Zhou Gong in Chinese. Just as said, the Zhou dynasty founding is associated with 3 men. About Zhou Gong, the king of completed the task of consecrating this dynasty and stabilizing it, and taking over the Yangtze River village Ruin, which was the traditional economic hinterland of the China at that time. The Duke of Zhou is credited with this concept of the mandate of the heaven. So the Zhou people worshipped a different kind of the god. They called the Tian, which can also mean sky or heaven. And they claimed that they had the mandate of heaven to take over from the Shang dynasty. The Shang dynasty had lost that the mandate. The last king of the Shang dynasty were notorious for not taking care of their kingdom, for pursuing their own pleasure. So they had lost the mandate, and the Zhou dynasty had now gained the mandate of heaven, as was exhibited by the winning this war against the Shang and then taking over. The Zhou king becomes known as the son of the heaven, or Tianzi. So that was a traditional term for the great kings, afterward of the son of heaven. So the Zhou dynasty, because it is so long, 800 years, and it is conventionally divided into 3 periods, there is still 1% of this time period. I don't know which period it belongs to you. By the way, about 1%, for example, Xiu Wang. We found these king names on bronze vessel inscription. But in all historical books, we cannot find this name. Who is Xiu Wang? Which period belongs to him? I do not know. So first you have the early Zhou period, which lasts from 1050 BC to 722 BC. There are some different possibilities for this predecision, so that would be a pretty big chunk of the Zhou dynasty, 41% of the Zhou dynasty period. This is the kind of the ideal period, the golden age of the Zhou dynasty, when the Zhou kings still had power which they distributed through a feudal system by law. You can see from the map of the above, the Xia occupying the green area again. This is a more legendary than historical, and then the Shang occupying a large area, the demarcated by the people zone, and the Zhou occupying an even later area, the origin zone. So this dynastic expanding their power and influence over Yin. You can see over Yin that we don't know of as China. So this is my Xia, Shang, and Zhou. So after the early Zhou period, you have the so-called spring and autumn period, or Chunqiu in Chinese. And that period is named after the famous history of that time period, and that lasts from 722 BC to 481 BC, so occupying about 13% of this time period. The spirit of the literacy and the rise of an educated class of the scholar and teacher. Then you have the emergence of the major school of thought, which eventually from the ideological foundation for government in China. Economic growth supports the rise of the state power, and then the rise of a form of feudal aristocracy. The transition from the feudal aristocracy to a professional bureaucracy over this time period. Now technology and strategy of the warfare, which then led to the rise and growth of professional armies. And over this time period, you have Asia ritual and customers transitioning into systematic contract and law legal system. And then finally, the dispersion of power was a feudal system. In ancient times, gradually transition to the centralization of the power over time. And then finally, the warring state from 481 BC to 256 BC. You can also say it goes to 221 BC. So occupy another 28% of roughly of this time period. The warring state was a period when the powerful state had related the reign of the Zhou dynasty. The Zhou dynasty is still reign in name, as you know, but only in name. Every powerful states were not vying for power. So Zhou racial culture, going back to the foundation, they draw on the ritual of the Shang dynasty, on the technology that the Shang had developed of bronze vessel casting. They also used bronze vessel to authenticate of the power of the king, and also to commemorate their relationship with other powerful people in the realm. The bronze vessels were used in ceremony, sometimes earning the dead, earning the ancestor, or when a king or queen died, they would be buried with their vessel. But they were also giving us commemoration for different ceremony occasions, such as the very famous large 大鱼鼎 vessel, tripped vessel called the 大鱼鼎, which has writing inside. one of the major differences of the Zhou ritual culture to the Shang. The preceded it, the Zhou dynasty actually left writing inscription in the waiting themselves. The early and middle Shang period did not really do that. So they have very elaborate inscription inside the vessel that tell us a great deal about Zhou dynasty period and society. This is why we must start with the bronze inscription when we study the history of the Zhou dynasty. Especially, a large number of bronze vessels recorded historical facts such as Zhou dynasty periods or lord taking over the power of different territories. By the way, a friend of mine recently bought a bronze vessel. It was made of visiting Zhou dynasty. The text on it is very valuable, but he did not understand at all. So he asked me about it, and then I answered him. This inscription records in detail the ritual formula of the Zhou dynasty emperor rewarding minister. We called this inscription 册命经文 in Chinese. You can see this picture. So, this bronze vessel is new one. Now this inscription, I translate. So the long and short, the message of the Da Yu Ding is several well, several king well, several room well, but don't drink too much. Thin wine was often used in their ritual ceremony. So there was a sense of being somewhat temperated, not going overboard in the ceremony activities. Here is another bronze wine well from the early or waiting Zhou, neglected to mention that there was also waiting Zhou and eastern Zhou. Is other way of dividing of Zhou dynasty. In the 700 BC, that the Zhou capital moved from the western region to Luoyang, which is the further east. During the eastern or western Zhou period, many of those bronze vessels were cast by under the sponsorship of the Zhou kings. The Zhou king bequeathed their bronze vessel to the lord, who then gave the responsibility to take over various territory in their realms. The action is essentially a proof of imperial power. They were kind of a version of a contract, a contractual obligation between the Zhou kings and their lord through bronze vessel. They gave them their territory, gave them the equipment and the people to reign their territories. But they also were responsible for helping the Zhou dynasty. Here is another bronze vessel that is quite famous called the Zheng Yi Bianzhong. As a part of this ritual culture of the Zhou dynasty, ceremony and music was very important part of the ritual. The Zhou king unleashed the other ritual of the various territories, were creating the vessel which include domes and bronze bell. They had a chant and songs and went along with the ritual ceremony. Maybe the Zhou were also bronze drums. You can watch this video about Zheng Yi Bianzhong, and this picture is very famous in China. Maybe in world it's very famous. Everyone knows this one, Zheng Yi Bianzhong. So now you can see the intercurling of the bell. The central bell has one inscription that it will tell us the sovereign of the Chu donated this bow to the tomb Zheng. That was a gift from the king of Chu. Please see the full text of this inscription as follows. And first, I read it in the Chinese. And this inscription, I read it in Chinese. So, 为王50又64，反自西洋。楚王衍章作曾侯乙宗仪，奠之于西洋，其用时永享。This was in the 56 years of the King Chu. After King Chu returned from Xiyang city, the King Chu Yanzhang ordered the production of the Zheng Houyi's family bronze vessel and held sacrifice activities in Xiyang city, hoping that Zheng Houyi and his family will always enjoy the grace of the heaven. Okay, now I'm going to end my words today. If you have any question, please write to me. Thank you, everyone.